So I don't look down. Every single one of you.
I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich.
I can't even see you because I don't look down.
I'm not leaving. The show goes on. This is my home. They're gonna need a wrecking ball to take me out of here.
Don't look down.
Good timing, everybody, whether it's morning, evening, or in between, wherever you are in the world today. Welcome to unRekt Traders. Before we begin, please hit the like and subscribe and join us to share ideas, strategies, and learn together to make better trades. This is not financial advice, nor am I a financial advisor. This is strictly my thoughts and ideas, so let's get that crypto. Hello everybody, today is June 24th, 2022. Coming into the Bitcoin chart on the monthly. And just let me bring up the levels. So on the monthly chart on Bitcoin, we are still looking for a possible target of 11,800. That'll be the yellow 100 here. Starting in April, we started coming down, looking for the possible target on the 50 here of 21,500, which we've hit this month. We have a resistance level above us at 27,400. Everything on the quasi currently is in the downward direction. Now we do have the 10 below the quasi range. The quasi range is the minus 100. The 10 is the red, and we also have the 20 also down below. So this white here, bottom of the Bollinger Band, will act as resistance. When the 10 starts to move back up into the range, we could see a move up into these resistance levels, possibly coming up even to the 41,000 area. Going into the weekly, there's not a whole lot on the weekly other than a resistance level at 26,400 and a support level at 18,300. Coming down into the daily, I just have to quickly move these over a little bit. All right, so we do have a possible target on the daily of 24,000, let's say. Resistance level above us at 22,500, which is the Aqua 50. And then we also have support below us in and around 18,700. Now the 10 has moved up. It's just about to leave the quasi range. The other averages are down below. So we could see us go into trend. If we do go into trend, we'll likely move up into this area and maybe up into this 100. However, the 50 lower Bollinger Band, this Aqua, will act as resistance at 22,500. So we could see this come up a little bit and then back down into the range. And when we do so, we might come up to the 50 and then come down, re-hit that 10 and try to continue to the upside. Now all the averages on the daily are in the downward direction. Coming into the 4 hour. Slide these over just a little bit to line them up. The 4 hour right now, we do have two possible targets. The 200 just came up into that range area, into the quasi, which is the purple line. 100 has come in for quite some time now, but we have had a slow upward direction. So we do have the possible target of 23,100 on the 4 hour and a 26,600 on the 200 purple. Now the 10 is coming down into that quasi range again, being held up just by the 50. If I zoom in a little bit, you can see that we're just riding the bottom of the 200 Bollinger Band. The 20 and 50 are just kind of sitting right there, just in that one little range area. So price has been kind of stuck within that area. The 10 does want to come down, and when it does so, it'll likely come down to price of 21,000 before continuing to the upside. Hopefully this 200 can hold us. And if the 200 does hold, then we can start moving up into the 26,600 level. Now the 26,000 level, or even the 23,000 level, will clear at the liquidity above these pivot points. Coming up into the 26,000, we'll clear these unstable candles and fill in the insufficiencies over here. On the 1 hour, slide these over a little bit, reorganize them. Make sure that's still a target area, which it is. All right, so we have the 20 coming down into the quasi range. The 50, 100 have just come in. So the 50 average here on the aqua will be a possible target of 20,800. Now we do have support coming down at 20,900, and the 200 Bollinger Band has acted as resistance numerous times. 3 times over here. Came out just a little bit, but the 10 pushed us back down on the quasi. Now it's acted as resistance. If we do break up one more time, we'll likely hit that 3.2 of 21,500, which we did here. Price can only leave the 3.2 0.3% of the time, so it usually acts as a nice resistance level to take shorts. Now the 20 has come back into that range, so we can look at 21,100 as a target level currently, and hopefully break down enough to get to the 50 aqua at 20,800. Support down below is at 20,400, and then we do have the 3.220 white Bollinger Band here at 20,600. Come into the Nexus here, take a look at levels. All right, so we do have a higher daily, so the trend is in the upward direction. We've just crossed the weekly the other day. We came in back into the weekly range on the 23rd, which was yesterday. As long as we continue to make upward directions on the daily, this, we'll look for continued upward direction until we break down below the daily, or in this case, predominantly more so on the weekly. If we do break down on the weekly, then we can start looking for in and around the daily S1 at 20,700. However, I think we are still relatively bullish up to basically 21,000 and then continue to the upside. We do have a monthly level above us, which will be the S1 at 24,800. So the monthly S1 will act as a resistance level as well. And here's the more or less the insufficiencies right up to the bottom of this green wick here, which would take us to 26,700, or predominantly more so up to the weekly R1. And just load up future outlook on Bitcoin. Now the future outlook on Bitcoin, we do have a painted bottom, so this is painted. It's not going to repaint. It is from last week. So that bottom is in at 17,500. Now historically that has held as bottom, as we can see. 2018 it held as a bottom. And in 2015 it also held as bottom. Currently too, we broke down to the third negative fib. which throughout historical patterns, it has been a nice buy area. So we did come down to the third negative. 2020, we came down to the second, third in 2018, and then I believe it was the fourth and the fourth in 2015. So it is very possible that the bottom is in, or at least a temporary bottom, where we move into the upward direction. See how high we can actually get. Now if I do come into the 2-year MAs as well, again, historically, it's been a nice buy area, coming down into the very bottom level. 2020 and 2018, we came down basically to the fourth, maybe 4.5. And then in 2015, we did go below it. We did go below the fifth one on January 5th, 2015, but we did hit the fifth level here. So historically, these have been very nice buy areas where we continue to see upward direction. Now in 2018, we did get pretty much halfway through. So even if we did come halfway through, we'd be sitting in and around that 71,000, and we'd still make an all-time high. If history does repeat itself, like in this range here, then, if we didn't go all the way to the all-time high, we only made it halfway, then we're still looking in probably taking out at least the inefficiencies on this pivot here, and then bringing us into at least the 50,000 level. Now if we look at the stock to flow indicator, I can't remember who makes this one, but again, historically, we're kind of in an aqua level right now. When we've gone from aqua, we go into a blue. Once we enter into that blue, we typically see a large push down. We had it in 2014 and 2018. So in 2018, we're more or less creating that descending triangle. And then once we turned blue, we had the big drop down to the 3,000 level. Now we are in that aqua, almost coming into the blue. I think there's a couple more weeks left on the blue to turn blue. So once it does turn blue, it'll be interesting to see if we actually do get that big drop down. And typically for each drop from the aqua to the bottom, it was about a 57% drop. Here we're looking at basically 50%. So if we did take 40% from where we are, or just a little bit higher, I'll take it from the bottom of this wick here. So we did the 45%, then we're looking at coming into that 13,500 level. So that is an option. And then on the log curve, this one has been modified from the original. The original would have been the white lines. So this one has been modified with an additional fib to add in this drop here. And we are at the bottom of that one. So if we do drop further, I guess they'll have to add another fib to this, but this could be the bottom. And from that level, I think we're up in and around, I think it's about 20% from basically this bottom up. So yeah, so 20%. I'm just going to load up a Gantt chart that I made in 2018. So I did make this one further back. I've added in the all-time high, same way that I did over here. And I kind of just come into this once in a while just to take a look at levels. So I do have them marked out. Currently, we're just sitting below this Gantt line here. And from here, we kind of go into common move to extreme move. So the extreme move right now would be the 35,300 level, which would more or less take out this insufficiency area right here. And then we have the next level down at 30,600, which more or less takes out the insufficiencies in this area. We do break down to the downside. The extreme move would be the 7,700, and the average, mid-average, I guess, would be 12,300. I'm going to come back into the future outlook for a second. All right, same thing with this overlay. Again, it's held as a historically is held as a nice support area. You can see that, you know, we have broken down a little bit. We're finding resistance on that right now. However, you know, support here, support. We did break down a little bit here, came back up, found resistance, and then we finally came back in, shot right to the other side. Again, 2015 broke down considerably on this one, and then right back into the other side. This one was a little more sideways, but you know, it's still probably a 50-60% move, if not more, 100%. And again, you know, support. Now, before we broke down over here, let's do this here. All right, so when we were in and around this range, you know, we hit this peak. We had the line already drawn from here, came up, we hit it, started forming new, had a high confluence area to either break up or break down. So we made this aware in the Discord channel. Once we got in, just sitting above here, you know, we were pretty certain that it was going to break down, which it did. And when it broke down, the only level to really go to was the, you know, the bottom of the band, which was the red line here at minus 0.5. And now we did break down a little bit below it. We'll see, you know, this hasn't closed yet, so it could break down further. I do think it will act as this will act as a support. So you know, I've drawn in the line as of now. Now it's not going to be concrete, but I think that it should more or less hold, and then we can push higher. Then the next level above us would probably be this line here, and it's in and around minus 0.3. So minus 0.3 would take us to probably, you know, the 27, 28 area. If we do break above, and then we'll hit these resistance lines. But again, you know, we're sitting in and around 27.5, let's say. Just another chart that I made up. Just trying to find, basically trying to find the highs of cycles. So far, so good. We have the 2017 high here. So we were looking for a high on this cycle, which we did actually get quite nicely. I did think it was going to peter out here. However, you know, we did push down and then actually came right up into that cycle. So for the next bull cycle, it is very possible that this will be the next high. Again, we'll have to wait for 2 or 3 years for that to happen. But if we do look at how far down price came, you know, we did break through the previous cycle down into the third level. I call them 16 degrees, but you know, we broke down into the third 16th. Now, if that does happen again, for example, then more or less we will come down to that basically 17,600 level. That is a possibility, or sorry, 11,800 level. I'm looking at this line. So coming into the 11,850, which would bring us basically to this resistive support level here. It has been actually a really nice support level. 2019 it was resistance, and in August 10th it was also resistance. And it was also resistance back here in February of 2018. So this will become a really large support line, and that would be in around 11,850. All right, coming into the crypto winter chart. Made this a few weeks ago. Basically what I've done is I've taken the halvings, calculated the time back to the bottoms, and then taken the degree angle from the all-time high of that cycle down to the low. Again, 2017 all-time high down to the low, and then as of right now, if it does hold as historical, the all-time high of this cycle down to the low using the same angle, 48 degrees, as the previous two, which also brings us down close to where I was saying on that 11,800 area, but basically 10,950. Now, I'll have to move this over a little bit for the current day, or week, I should say. So we're still 150 days out based upon historical data. And that's also assuming that from the halving to the bottom will be the 77 days. 2015 was 77 bars, I should say. 539 days from the halving to the bottom. In 2017-2018 cycle, from the halving to the bottom was 74 bars. So I did take the 77 just because it creates a higher angle. And with that 48 degrees, same as the previous two, 10,950. We currently have 150 days left to get to that bottom. It gives us plenty of time to move up for up until August, September, and then come back down for the let's just call it a Christmas crash, I guess. And historically, the bottoms have been in and around Christmas time, so that is a viable play to go through. Move on up till September, maybe even October, August even. Take out some of these insufficiencies and then break down for the the Christmas bottom, and then we can continue to go sideways, kind of like what we did here. Sideways with a little up. Here we had up, came back down to the fair value, and then from there we continued upwards after the halving, and then had our explosive move for the bull cycle. Alright, now if I come into this, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, go to the, I don't want to go too high, go to the daily. Now these are the yearly PVPs for the most part. And, we do have a point of control from 2020 at 9,000. And then we have the value area high sitting in and around, let's say basically 11,000. Well, let's say 12,000. More or less the same with the 6 month. The value area high sitting in and around 15.7 with the naked point of control in around 11,600. If we go to the higher time frames on the Nexus as well, we did have this whole area as a naked pivot. So even when we were up here, we were looking at coming back into this naked pivot, which we did get. So we were looking for 20,800, basically that 3 month S3. So we did break down almost into the S4, pretty much to that mid level. And if I do bring back the quarterly even, we bring back the quarterly range, let's go back, well, 12, I guess. We had this naked quarterly here as well. So, this was a high confluence area to return back to. So when everyone was bullish, we were still looking at coming back into this range area, which we actually have gotten now. So these have been filled and they've completed. There really isn't too much further back that is naked. I think there was a daily. I don't know if I saved the levels. Let me take a quick look here. I don't think I did. I don't think I did. So I don't know how well this will show up on here. We basically had two bear flags though. You know, we had the drop, we had the pull here, flag, and then we had another pull, which actually from this pull to here actually worked out perfectly. Basically up to this level here at 20,000. We have had two bear flags. This one worked out perfectly. This one not so much yet. And then I think the only other thing to really look at on Bitcoin would be the VWAPs. So on the higher time frame VWAPs, these come back from 2018 and 2020. And then we also have the previous all-time high. There really isn't a whole lot of point showing this guy here for the most part. The data's, you know, we're looking at the other data before we look at this one anyway. So I don't have this one on there quite yet. And in the group, you know, we were looking at this as our strong resistance or support until it broke. Once it did break, we were looking for a return back to here, which was the 2021, I believe. So this is the 2021. Came back up, found resistance on this old VWAP here. Continued to break down, and if we're, you know, in the group we were saying if we break down from here, we will come to the 2018 VWAP, which we have, and that's more or less where we found support as of right now. So there's a high probability that we do move back up, find resistance at the 25,600 level, which would also be the bottom, you know, basically the pivot here with this long wick. And then if we do get above there, then we can start looking, you know, we'll hit this again as resistance, and then our upper resistance will be the 33,800. And then again, if we get above that, which we might, then we'll be coming back into, you know, 42,300 area. Now there is quite a bit of resistance if I bring up the lower time frame ones. It does get a little bit messy. More or less, we did just fight our way through these two here. We can kind of start looking for a mean, you know, a mean reversion for the most part. If we do stay within this one, and that mean reversion would take us back up to the 30,200. And then I believe this one is this guy here, yes. So, you know, we could see a mean reversion back up to here, 25,500. That'd be the first one. Again, these will act as resistances. And if we do break through these ones, then we can start looking for the mean reversion, you know, up to the 33 or even 38. But again, you know, these will act as all resistance levels. I don't think, yeah, so I removed a bunch of them. But when we were in this period here, this was there was a ton of support and resistance levels on the VWAPs throughout this level. That's kind of why I think we did the little bear flag here. All right, so that's it for Bitcoin. I'm going to take a quick look into Cardano, ADA, and possibly ETH. And you know what, actually one more thing on the Bitcoin on the 8-hour chart. On the 8-hour chart, we do have a longest expanded period, which is in and around the 330, 340 level. On here, I do have the 340. So when we did come up into this level here, you know, it was a very safe short for further direction down, which we did happen. Again, we called it 2 more times in this and here. We did have huge insufficiency candles for this area. So we were looking for, you know, basic returns back up and down. And then this was our final short off the pivot coming down. Looking, you know, basically that level right now is at 11,250, and until we come back up into more or less the 25,900 level, we are in continued trend, and this, the trend will continue until that level gets broken for the most part. All right, so let's go into Cardano. Yep, start on the monthly. All right, so on the monthly, we do have basically a new 50 on the monthly, which is the aqua here. And again, once we came into this range, we were looking for coming down into the 10. Once the 20 came in, we were looking for the return back to basically the $1 area, which we got. Now, we didn't know the 50 was going to form on this one. We literally just got it. However, we can assume that it was almost the same as up here, where just slowly came down, and then we had the mean reversion on that, and more or less finding support at the 38 cents. Now the 10 is near the bottom of the range. It is starting to kind of push down further. So we'll see if it can actually, if this 20 can actually hold. If it doesn't, then we can look for further down. And for the most part, if we do break down from here, just based upon monthly candles, we'd be looking in and around, basically 21 cents for the most part. I guess, we are kind of at that support, 38, and then we'd be looking in and around the 21 cent level. Going down into the weekly. And so on the weekly itself, we haven't quite broken in yet on the 20, so this isn't a true possible target yet. This is acting as resistance on the 20 band, which is white for the most part as of right now. Once it does come into that range, then we can start looking for this possible target. But as of right now, this one is a question mark. So we do have the resistance above us, pretty much sitting on it right now. And then the 50 will also act as resistance at 55 cents. And our strongest support down below us is sitting in at 6 cents. So the weekly chart could come all the way down to 6 cents, no problem. Or the 100 is at 12. Now price does want to come up to this 10, but we could say that this was more or less hit on that 10 here. And that 10 is sitting at 60 cents basically. Going down into the daily. Let's quickly slide these over for the new day. That's pretty good. All right, so on the quasi itself, we're looking for a target on the 100, which is the yellow here, at 75, let's say 76 cents. Now we do have the 3.2 above us, and then we also have a strong resistance on the 200 lower Bollinger Band, which is purple here, and its resistance is at 50, let's say 58 cents. But we do have a lower target at 54 cents. Quickly mark that as well. That will be a possible target. So we can more or less kind of look at price. Price does want to come up at least up to the 200 Bollinger Band. Now this 10 is getting pretty high on the quasi range. Once it does break out, if it doesn't stay in trend, once it does break out, comes back in, then we'll see a push back down, likely to probably even the 100 support at 45 cents. So it is possible, we just hit that 20 and then push down maybe to the 10, finding support on the 10, or finding support on the bottom of the 100 again. That's kind of what, it's more or less kind of what we've been doing. We came into the 100 here, hit that 50, the 10 pushed us down. So the 10 here, which is the red, pushed us down back into the range, right through the other side. You can see that we hit that 10, hit the 20, and then dropped right down to the other side. Came back up, hit the 10, and then more or less been sideways on a daily level since we hit that 10. So it has been fighting to get it. It has been fighting to get above. However, all the averages are to the downside, so it has been kind of a slow bleed out to the down. We do have the ultimate level, support level, basically at that 45-cent level. So until that cracks, we're doing pretty good. So we'll continue to look for upward direction until this support level breaks. Once this support level breaks, then we'll be looking at 33 cents for the next level down, and then from there, it'll see if it could cascade down all the way to 6 cents basically. Four-hour. This one was already hit for the most part. This was a target that had on earlier today, coming up into that 100, which we've gotten. The price does want to come back down to the 10. Currently just being held up by the 50 and the 20. Once that 20 drops down into the range, then we could see a move back down to the 47.70 level. Basically filling in this candle here. And then it does ultimately wants to come up to this level here, which is also the 23.2. So the possible target on the 4-hour will be the basically 53-cent level. However, it does more or less want to come back down to at least 47, like 47.8, 47.7 before continuing to the upside. Go into ETH here. I haven't looked at ETH for quite some time, to be honest. But we'll go into the monthly level. Not sure what that is. We'll delete that guy. Alright, so we'll move these guys over. So it has been at least a month since I've looked at it. We did get our possible target hit on this month here. We were looking for it back here at, it was 11.50 at that time. It's now at 11.60, but we did get the hit on this month. We have support, which would be a negative value, so it doesn't really apply. So I guess, if we, based on the monthly level, our next real support level is pretty much where we are at 7.30. After that, 600, and then 480 will be our main level unless we break down further below that, and then we're looking at like 330. So 330 to kind of where we are now are levels that we could fall into. However, present moment of time, we are finding support on the 50, and we don't really have any other targets below that other than the support. And then the resistance level above us is at the 2800. Now on the monthly quasi, everything is to the downward direction. 10 is starting to taper off a little bit, but it is still headed down. So we'll have to wait for the next month to kind of give us a range of where it wants to go. Coming into the weekly, probably have to scrap majority of these. Bear with me for a minute. So we do have support here at 648 on the 100 yellow. Now these targets that I have all been hit. I'm just going to move one down. Well, let's just delete that guy for now. See if we do have any targets to the upward direction, which we don't currently. However, the 10 is just about to come into that range. So we could, it does technically want to come up. Now this is coming down quite fast. So this is a weekly level. So, you know, by the time, unless this jumps up real quickly, for the most part, you know, within a week or so, we're going to be sitting in, the 10's going to be sitting in around this support level anyway, which it's actually resistance. Let's see here. Let's delete that guy. Slide this one down. Let me just I'll put this guy here. Well, probably shouldn't actually. Let me just move this guy out of the way just so I have it for a template later. These guys. Change that one to 50. All right, so basically on the daily, or on the weekly, sorry, support 650, and then we have resistance above us at 1620. And then again, like I said, you know, it's more or less going to come back up into the range next week anyway. Maybe even a little bit this week. It'll depend on how high this goes. So this will be, you know, technically it is kind of a target. Using more bias than anything on that one, but you know, it is almost through. And then you can start looking for the target of, you know, 1980. But to be safe, you know, I'd say 1620 for sure. And then from there, we'll see if we break down to the support level here, or if we continue to the upward direction. And you know, I can't really tell you what it's going to do on the weekly yet, just because the only thing I can really see is, you know, it is in the upward direction and it wants to come to the resistive level of 1620. The daily might tell us a little more. I'm just going to get rid of this guy because we're not using it. Where's my daily at? All right, so I haven't looked at the daily in a while, so let me slide these over. This will be support at 980. Resistance, and we're sitting on that 50 as resistance. However, the 10 is pretty high, starting to come back down. I will mark this 50 as the resistance level currently. And if this doesn't stay in trend and it comes back into that range, then we can start looking at 1120, or even support again at 980. If it does stay in trend, which, you know, it's not looking so great as of right now, just because it is in a 1335. Let me just clone this guy here, put it on the white, make it a solid line. And yeah, so that is our only target as of now. And then we have the resistance as well at 1480. So, you know, it does want to come up to the 1340 level. We're just hitting resistance right now. Likely we will break down off this 50, just because of where the 10 is. Come back down to at least 1120. If we can find support there, then we'll push up, possibly into this resistive level. Again, you know, this is a daily, so if it pushes down and we don't make any real gains within the next day, the daily tomorrow will be sitting in and around, or the 20 tomorrow will be sitting in around, let's say 1300. So if we do move down to 1120, then we can kind of look at coming back up to maybe 1300, breaking this resistive level. And then hopefully the 50 and 100 will come into the range, and then we can move up to the 200, fill in these insufficient areas here. And if we get really lucky, the 200 will come in the range, and then we can fill in the insufficient areas here, you know, back up to 2600 level. But you know, it's not looking good. You know, all the averages on the daily, for the most part, are to the downside. You know, the 20 and 10 have acted as trend basically all the way back from April 15th. You know, we're not even running parallel. We're actually breaking away from the 20 on, you know, the 10's breaking away from the 20. Parallel here for the most part, and then we start breaking away again. Now, this is looking a little more positive. We are actually getting a little bit of the curl up on the 10. So I do think, you know, we can actually make it to the resistive of the 100. Again, you know, it is going to continue to slowly move down, but it will be, you know, still looking pretty bearish on ETH, to be honest with you, currently. We'll take a quick look at the 4-hour. I'm not going to use the levels because my last 4-hour would be miles away. Let's quickly look at the levels with the pointer. So we do have the 100 as a target, finding support off that 20. And it does want to come down to the 10, which would be in and around 11, let's say 1180. The 50 is going to act as a strong support level just because we're so high up on the quasi here. So it's likely, you know, we could come down to 1180, 1175 basically, maybe a little bit more with a wick, and then push up, hit that 100, and then from there we'll see if we come back down to that 200 Bollinger Band at 1120. And then ultimately though, on the 4-hour, you know, once we do break down a little bit, it does want to come to 1560. So that is you know, it's a decent target. However, I do think that it will break down at least to the 50, maybe even further. Or we will find support on the 200. And let me just get rid of some of these Bollinger Bands so we can see that a little easier. So just looking at the 50 and 200, you know, we break down, come to the bottom of this 200 Bollinger Band, which is sitting in and around 1125. And then from there we find support, and then we push up to the 1560 level. And again, that would take out, take out all the liquidity here, and then maybe possibly, well, probably not, but maybe take out these levels. It really depends on how fast this happens too, because the 4-hour will continue to the downward direction. Doesn't look like it's gonna change direction anytime soon for the most part. So, you know, even by the 29th, we're going to be kind of sitting in and around probably 1460 with the 200 average. So more or less, I do think, you know, I think we'll, on the 4-hour, I do believe that based on what I'm seeing here, you know, we will take out the instability candles, insufficient candles here, basically up to probably 1400. And then from there, we can see how bullish we are for the upside, or if we break down and then take out the liquidity down here below, basically below 860 with this lower pivot here. All right, so I think that's all I got. Covered Bitcoin in depth, Cardano and ETH, and I think we'll call it a night or a day wherever you guys are in the world. So take care. Thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe if you like the content. Post me out, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.